Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. In this video I will discuss a kind of a blackmail or a threat issued by an unelected official, and that is Kallas, the former Prime Minister of Estonia, who was catapulted, parachuted into being the foreign minister of the European Union. So from a country of 1.3 million people was catapulted to being in charge of the foreign policy of more than 450 million people. And she is threatening Serbia. So European Union wants Lebensraum, living space. Because the European Union, if you take France, Germany by themselves, and Great Britain, they die. They have no resources, they die. They need little vassal states, as you know, that guy called Adolf wanted, which was called Lebensraum. He did not invent that one. It was an ideology, an idea that economically developed countries, they call them superior, they need living space. It's like, for instance, at the beginning of the 20th century, when these guys discovered oil for our machinery and they went to the Middle East, those guys did not know what to do with the oil. So these guys said, how about we take it, because these guys don't know shit about it. And they should have kept it that way, but they didn't. And now you have the Arabs having more money than the guys that actually did something with it in the first place. Well, I wouldn't have worked like the Europeans, some Europeans did with the oil. I would have just kept it and kept those people over there with their traditions, with their lands, with whatever they had over there, okay? And I will have their oil. Sounds ugly, but sounds realistic, pragmatic. Now, what do we have here? The European Union wants Lebensraum. It needs living space and it needs people to work for them. Countries with resources, like Hitler wanted to get into the Donbass area, into the Caucasus, for the oil, gas, and resources. And he claimed that those baboons over there don't know what to do with it. They just sit on the natural resources without using them. We, the German people, we can use them. So now European Union does the same thing as that guy did then. Unfortunately for the European Union, is not strong militarily. The other guy was strong. So what's going on here? Serbia has to make a choice according to this unelected official in charge of the European Union's foreign policy. And I will show you how European Union is, what European Union is, and what are the options. Like, hey, you have to come here in the European Union because we have here fantastic goodies for you. And I'm going to give you the example of Hansel and Gretel, the Grimm brothers story. Do you know it? I will show you in that. So Hansel and Gretel are the countries that are lured into the witch's little sweet house. But inside is the witch. They're going to cook them. That's the European Union. Is the Hansel and Gretel's little house of candy. Candy shop, 50 cents. How about that song? So here is the first article that I'm going to discuss is this, coming from the New Voice of Ukraine. Serbia must choose between East and West European Union. So she speaks in the name of the European Union. Now, just so you know where I come from, this person is an infantile. Based on her statements, according to my, assessment as an individual, how much I know, how many people I met, what are my life experiences, I think that she is a 13-year-old person. That's the level. I met people like her and their level is 13. That's my assessment of her. If you think she's a genius, maybe you should question you first. So, I'm not saying this to insult her. This is my assessment of her knowledge, intelligence, experience by her statements. That's it. All right, so she tells Vucic that, we have to pick up between our Western values and the other values. What exactly values do you have, European Union? Well, I will tell you. Here. As it pursues European Union membership, unfortunately, Serbia now faces a strategic choice between Western values, which is what? Inclusion, equity, snipping your balls, pink hair, A man can be a woman, adoption, blah, blah. Is that what the values we have now, or you have? And it's traditional pro-Russian course. European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kallas said during a visit to Belgrade on May 22. So she went over there to take a shot on Serbia. Serbia faces a geostrategic choice where it wants to be, Kallas says. Well, it's true. It's true. Serbia's European future depends on the values it chooses to uphold. We're going to talk about these values. She referred to Serbian President Aleksandar Vucic's recent trip to Moscow, where he participated in the May 9 military parade and openly expressed her disapproval of the move. Why was Vucic over there? To celebrate the victory against Nazism. Is Kaja Kallas against that? If she's against the celebration of the defeat of Nazis, that means she likes the Nazis. No? Then you give me the third option. Viable, not just because it's Tuesday and she decided that. So remember, Kaja Kallas goes to Serbia. Serbia's problem is that they want to go over there. But there are conditions. The problem is, let me give you this. It's so much garbage. When I was a young, I don't know, maybe a teenager, I asked my father, what's the difference between Soviet Union and United States of America? I said, in the fact that, Soviet Union, it's a union between countries, right? I mean, territories. My understanding, my Kaja Kallas understanding of the world. And what's the United States of America? It has all these, states over there. And he told me he knew a lot, and he said, the big difference is that those states in America choose to be in a union voluntarily, whereas the other ones were taken. So I think the European Union is not like the United States of America. On the contrary, it's like the Soviet Union. It's gonna take it, and once you're in, you can't never leave. Like that song Hotel California by Eagles. You can sign in or whatever, but you can never leave. So here is with the European Union. Appears to be like Hansel and Gretel. Right here I'm going to show you. Here, Hansel and Gretel by Brothers Grimm is a German fairy tale collected by the Brothers Grimm and published in 1812 as part of Grimm's fairy tales. So Hansel and Gretel are siblings who are abandoned in a forest and fall into the hands of a witch who lived in a house made of bread, cake, and sugar. The witch, who has cannibalistic intentions, intends to fatten Hansel before eventually eating him. However, Gretel saves their brother and pushes her into the blah blah blah. So that's the European Union. It looks fantastic from outside. And it is good, but it's not as good as they claim to be. Inside is a big witch, like Kaja Kallas, like von der Leyen, like these guys, this kind of witches. Unelected, by the way, unelected, but they are over there. So let's move on. I'm going to give you some examples of how the European Union functions, the values that it upholds. And that is intervenes, interferes, changes, cancels elections that they don't like. And they also withhold money from the European Union to countries that don't follow the party line. Like a centralized European Union. Yeah, I don't like what you do. Our values, which are, who decides the values again? Who are the ones who decide the values? Three guys in Brussels? Who are the guys? I want to see the guys. The same with people who say, oh, you can't say fat anymore. You have to say, I don't know, big or big boned or overweight. Who are you? You want to control my speech? Are you in charge of me? Are you in charge of my speech? What PhD you have in speech, in vocabulary, in semantics? Always question that. When someone said, oh, we don't use that word. Who's we? When did I agree to that change in semantics? Was I asked? And if not, since when you're my boss? Since where you tell me what the society rules are all of a sudden? The same with the Europeans, our values. I'm going to show you the values in Romania, where Serbia will want to get in. Romania's top court rejects complaint about presidential election interference. Rejects, doesn't even look into it. Why? The right candidate in the European Union, Hansel and Gretel, won. That's what happened. Similar claims following an anti-establishment candidate's first round win last year resulted in a vote being scrapped. Yeah, but now the right one won. So this is the European Union justice. and values. German Justice Minister calls for potentially banning largest opposition party. This is the values that this Infantile is talking about right there. Right there. That's what she talks about. So German Justice Minister called for potentially banning the largest opposition party. So if you're the largest, that means the German people like it. So isn't democracy based on majority rules? No, it is not. Or minority. Is the dictatorship of the minorities now? Has been for a long time already. We have those minorities in charge of everybody, seems like. So Stephanie Hubig, another Baerbock, another Kaja Kallas, another von der Leyen. Sorry, all three compassionate women, better than us. Stephanie Hubig, Hubig, she like a big, promises a thorough probe into whether the right-wing Alternative for Deutschland poses a threat to democracy. She wants the probe. She's an unelected official again. So she wants to probe if the party that has the most vote, the biggest party in Germany at this point, according to official polls, they want to ban it. How can you ban people's opinions? Well, simply, that's the new European values, not the traditional Russian values. No, those are bad. Ours are good. Like unelected Zelensky, right? That these guys want to get into the European Union. Okay, right? Wait to see what's going on in Poland. They have their runoff soon. All right, let's see what the French are doing in the European Union. French Justice Minister calls for abolishing cash. Now, we have here another guy. This is Justice Minister. This guy is an unelected guy. He's not elected. The people did not vote for. But these guys, Alternative for Deutschland, they are voted for. So here it is. Gerard Papapap has argued that digital transactions are much easier to trace. What does it mean? Values? Control. All right, let me give you this, my friends. If we will not have cash, we will not have gold, we will not have other valuables, and we'll go only on digital transactions. That is numbers clicked by one. How much? One, pack, 0, 0, 0, That means that could be blocked if you do the wrong thing in the European Union. I disagree with that totally, with the non-issuance of cash. They can potentially blackmail you financially, destroy your livelihood through a button. Click, they cancel your finances. You're done. You have no credit card, you have no banking account, you have nothing. Zero. Nothing. Nothing in your sock. All right, so this is the European Union. Now, let me give you this example. Not example, story, true story. After 1989, the Romanian Revolution, orchestrated by foreign agencies from the West with traitors inside Romania. It was a good revolution, but the outcome was not supposed to be as it is right now. Total occupation by NATO and Hansel and Gretel. Do we have a name for the witch? I don't remember her name. Is there a name for the witch? Or just a witch? Really, I don't remember. Edition, plot, Hansel and Gretel by pop. Gretel, God will not. I don't see a name for her. Just a witch. It should be. But anyway, because I would just use Hansel and Gretel. Correct? So, in Romania after the revolution, there were some jackals, some traitors, Romanian traitors in Romania, in the media, who were saying that we should go and be part of, we should not do anything because we wait for the Europeans, the Europa, those kind of people were telling us, Europa, not Europa, Europa. Those were the Romanians who were telling us on the television that we should not rock the boat, we should just take our pants down, bend over and wait for the European Union to come over like that, whenever it wants, however it wants, how deep it wants. Why? Because we depend on the Europa, okay? So they gave Romania to the European Union, they gave Romania to NATO without any negotiations. And they got Romania. They didn't understand, like Vucic, that its geopolitical location, its manpower, even its communist builds industries, its resources are a Lebensraum for the European Union. They needed us. There were some in Romania, those points that said those times they said, they need us, don't sell us. Europe needs us, is dying. In 1990s, they were saying that. They need us. We don't have to sell ourselves for nothing. But we were told by those guys with Europa to not rock the boat. Give the IMF and the World Bank every access. They're going to help us. They're going to give us. Like Hansel and Gretel. They're going to give us, come over in our little house of whatever. Come over there and then we're going to cannibalize on you. So that's one example. Now, I'm not saying that... Serbia should not go into the European Union. That's a decision made by each country, each nation. My problem is with the threats. You let people come in without threatening them. You don't need to threaten them. Threaten them because they participate in something. Our values, don't start me with the values. I think I made just a few points here. Now let me show you the geographical position of Serbia as Romania in Russia. And let me show you countries that right now could break away from the European Union. European Union is going to be cut off. Right there, you see this map. This is the map of Europe. So this is Romania, the baboons over there, right? Right here, very well positioned strategically towards Russia, and not only. And then you have Serbia right here. And then if you have Hungary and you have Slovakia, all these guys together with Bulgaria right here, they cut this off. They're done. Ukraine, what, they're going to go through Poland? So it's a good position for Serbia right here, strategic position. These guys need it. The problem is Serbia is a landlocked country, except the Danube River that goes like that. Could be a blockade all along this right here. And that's it with Serbia. It's going to be strangled. That's the only thing. But it has Hungary and has Slovakia as well. Also landlocked countries. At one point there was the Visegrad countries. Remember, Czech Republic, Poland, Slovakia and Hungary. All these guys. It would have been great to get a different kind here, a different kind here. And these guys could have stopped these plunderers coming from this, especially here, and from here, and from here. These guys are not zero. They're dying without the resources from some countries in the east. And they want now Ukraine, and they want the big prize, which is Russia, which they want the Caucasus, my friends, right here, and they want Donbass and the grain in Ukraine. Grain in Ukraine, because it rhymes. Don't sell yourselves. It was an article with Vucic who said, when Kallas is going to come here, do you think I'm going to hide under the table? I mean, she is very, very unimpressive, to say, be nice about it, okay? So here it is. You want to go into the Hansel and Gretel's house over there? As I see the Western right now is like this. You have a choice, indeed, Serbia, to be a fattened slave in a cage, like Hansel and Gretel, and you work like a hamster for the Matrix, or you can be outside of the Matrix, somewhere in the woods, not in the farmer's backyard. He's going to cut you eventually. You're going to be a fat pig in the farmer's farm, and when Christmas comes over, he's going to look for you with a long knife. In Romania, that's the way it is. Okay? Or you want to be a boar somewhere, not in South Africa, a boar somewhere in the woods, free, a little bit slimmer and suave. Okay? Sometimes hungry. Not like the pig in the farm, never hungry, but independent. You can roam wherever you want. So there's some danger over there, but in the farmer's farm, the ultimate danger is going to be Christmas time. When you're fat and you're doing just fine, you hear the door opening and say, your turn, Gigi, here's the knife, and you're done. You're bacon. So it's a choice, and it seems like Russia could offer part of that choice, which is protection against the witch in Hansel and Gretel, the European values. European values are a perversion of our Western civilization. And our Western civilization is not a Judeo-Christian culture. No, it's not. We would burn people on the stake if it were to be like that. All right, or we want Galileo Galilei, maybe. Or maybe we'll stone people to death. We would have collective punishment. That's the Western Christian, Western No, we are a Greco-Roman civilization. If we want to do something, if you want to be continuing our perverted descent into the abyss of, how do I call it, primitive life, then we are going in the right, we are going in the right direction. Thank you very much for being with me again today. So we'll see. Thank you very much. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.